All right, welcome again to another broadcast. This is Sunday night, which means that we are doing our health and wellness broadcast. So I hope you stick around. We're going to go ahead and get started with some music, give some time, a little bit of time for people to get on, and I'll see you in a moment, okay? Just sit back and enjoy. In the meantime, this is going to be on our future album that we're working on right now. All right, so let me go ahead and play this for you.
I was raised in the shadow of thunder, told not to question the rain. They said the truth was somewhere above me, but the answers whispered my name. I kept my soul behind their fences, built from scripture, fear, and shame. But every seed inside remembers how to reach the light again. I'm the dreamer who remembered, the one they said should sleep, but love woke me from the silence. Now the truth runs wild and deep. No more living in their stories, no more playing by their creed. I'm the dreamer who remembered, and that dream to me. They said freedom's in surrender, but I found it in the fight. I had to lose 1,000 heavens just to feel the breath of life. I've seen empires built on halos, I've watched preachers wear the crowns, but when the noise began to crumble, I remember who I am. I'm the dreamer who remember, the one they said should sleep, but love woke me from the silence. Now the truth runs wild and deep. No more living in their story, no more kneeling just to breathe. I'm the dreamer who
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us this evening. Thank you again. Welcome. I hope you guys had a wonderful weekend. It is about 80 degrees out here where I am in sunny Arizona, and the weather is definitely changing. It's changing where it's getting nice and cool out there, and where people can now get out there and walk. That's in our neck of the woods, but I'm in southern Arizona. You know, in northern Arizona, it's full fall up there. I mean, the leaves are changing. I mean, people wearing jackets. It's much cooler. It's really nice out there. But anyway, the song you just heard, that was the song that was inspired by the seminar we had entitled "Breaking the Chains," where we were just actually taking a closer look. It was about a 5-6 hour seminar, but the end result, I was able to edit it down to like 4 hours because we had like Q&A, then we had breaks and all that within the seminar. So I was able to pare it down to about a little over 4 hours. It's available now on our website at sambatree.com. If you go over to Samba University, or like we like to say, Samba University. We actually changed the name of it. I'm still working on that right now. But yeah, we've actually changed the name to Samba University, where we just have a bunch of things from, now we're doing our own books. We got classes that you can download and that you can participate now. If you miss the live version, that's okay. You still have access to the seminars as well, which are all available on there. And that was such a great class, a seminar that we had. It had so much information. There was a book that came out of it. We got a book that goes with it too. So even if you're like, hey, I just want to get the book, we have the book that's available, and then the class and all of that stuff. So listen, we're going to keep on doing it. We're going to keep on trucking, keep on doing what we know that our inner man and, what we're supposed to be doing here. And we ain't stopping. We're not stopping at all. So anyway, good to see everybody here, and glad that you're here on Peace of Mind Counseling. And as always, make sure you check out her channel too. She's putting out some good work. And anyway, so with that being said, so today we're going to talk about something. It's something I have been reading about. I've been kind of poking around on it for some time. Many of you have heard, quantum physics or quantum mechanics, and you may be like, oh, that's way over my head and all of that. And listen, I get it, but don't, calm, relax. Because we're going to actually look at something that's related to that. It's called quantum thinking. All right. And we're just going to take a very basic look at it. OK. And as always, what we do is we present things to you. What you decide to do it, well, it's up to you. It's up to you at the end. But what we are about here on this platform is providing and bringing solutions. We're not going to just sit here and talk about all the problems in the world and what's going on. And everybody knows when the skies are gray, right? Everybody knows when there's problems. But we need to start retraining our mind to begin to react and to appreciate and to embrace the things that are good in our lives. I was actually drilling that down today in my mind, training myself to focus on the good things. It's so good to put energy in the things that aren't going so well. But yeah, so just training that, and that's we're going to get into that today as well. Okay. But anyway, before we get into that, I just want to bring your attention over to our website again, Sombertree.com, where we are in fact running a very special promo right now. And this is just our way of just saying thank you to each and every one of you guys. This platform in of itself, Sombertree, is something that we created over 5 years ago, and we've been continuously to go strong through the ups and downs. Many of you have still been with us, and we so do appreciate that. And what this has allowed us to do is for a husband and wife team, my wife and I, to get together and to have conversations with people like you and to find out what exactly are the needs. What do we need? This isn't just some kind of like side hustle. You understand? This is something that we really want to bring some real solutions. And the solutions that we're referring to deal with in the area of health and wellness. It cannot be underestimated. Health and wellness, this is the key. This is the thing that this system that's out here today is trying to take away from you. And what we are about is realigning ourselves to nature, to what we are here to do, all of us. And so what we provide are a whole array of solutions. Sea moss, bladderwrack, and burdock root capsules, turmeric, 50-50 pepper. You can get turmeric capsules just about anywhere, but I don't know of anybody out there who has came up with the concept of taking turmeric, combining it with pepper. That's what you normally do so that your body can absorb it. But we took it a step further, and we said we're going to add black seed to it. And that's exactly what we did. And so we got things like that. Of course, we got the sea moss, the different oils, the different bitters, all kinds of stuff that you're seeing right now. And the seasonings. We're going to get back into the kitchen, and we're going to start developing even more seasonings. We got the 50-50 pepper I mentioned. Of course, we got the bladderwrack savory seasoning. There's a bunch of natural seasonings in it. There's no fillers and all that kind of nonsense in there. It's all about all 100% natural. Dandelion powder, organic hibiscus. My wife just made me some a very tasty cup of hibiscus tea earlier today, and it was very good. And it's something that you should have in your life for real. And a whole bunch of other things. You know, if you're dealing with diabetes, if you're dealing with high blood pressure, of course, the platform that we're using, they won't allow us to specifically call this stuff out and say, you know, this is good for that or whatever. But trust me, there are plenty of things on here that are excellent for handling that. And so you could check that out as well. Even when they had the explosion in Georgia, you know, there was a huge respiratory emergency that took place. Our reaction wasn't just to talk about it and say just how bad the government is and all of that. We said, no, let's put together a rescue and detox tea that we're going to kind of put together on our own. It has 11 herbs in it, and it's all designed to flush out your lungs and all of that. So if you even find yourself, if you've ever been exposed to something, this will be a great natural alternative for handling things like that. And then you could take your time. We got all kind of other things on the website at sambatree.com. So make sure you check it out. Again, we are running a promo right now up to 30% off. Up to 30% off. This is by far the biggest sale of the year. Okay, so make sure you check it out. Again, the website is sambatree.com. And see more people as you're coming into the chat. Welcome, and good to see you guys. As always, thank you, for joining us. Let's see. Let me play this video. We're going to get started now in the conversation that we're going to be talking about this evening. I forgot. I was doing so many things. I do want to show you this video. This video is about almost 4 minutes long. And this video is of of a woman that's in the car. And yes, she's having a breakdown, but I want you to listen to what she's saying. Okay. It's not bad. Okay. It's bad, but it's kind of good in a way. So I want you to take a listen, and we're going to use this. Oh, my music's still playing, and we're going to take a listen to what she is saying. And then we're going to go from there. We're going to see what is it that is missing? What is it that we can do to start making some changes? All right. So let's take a look here, and we're broadcasting simultaneously on our Samba Tree YouTube page as well. So you can check us out there as well. All right. So let me go ahead and play this video, and I'll be right back.
I had a realization that I bought into the lie of college, get a good job, get a degree, you'll go far. And today I realized that I am a fucking slave. I got good grades all through school because I dreamed of college. I thought, I'll go to college, I'll get a good job, and it'll change the course of my life. I'll have everything I need, I'll make money. Because I grew up with nothing. And probably like most of you, my parents pushed college. And I saw college as this, this savior. I was going to take all the problems away. It was going to set me up for life. But we all believed a lie. I know I'm not the only person. I believe that lie. Real freedom is not just chasing money. Real freedom is the opportunity to wake up when you want to wake up. To eat breakfast when you want to. To be able to go see your nephew on any day that you desire. Being told when to go to lunch. Being told what time to arrive, what time to leave. Being overworked and underpaid. It's no life at all. I'm not necessarily complaining about the job. Guys, we've got a bigger problem. This is our only trip to Earth. And instead of living, we are surviving. And I feel that strong. I've never felt it like I feel it now. If you're out there and you're surviving and you're awake and you're aware, then you know what I'm talking about. Stay strong, because there is hope. And I do believe, I'm telling you, I'm going to make this declaration. This time next year, I will be no one's employee. I will be financially independent. I will decide when I get up. No alarm clock will wake me. I'm going to go visit my nephew anytime I want. He is such an amazing child. I'm going to take my baby all over the world. And I'm going to teach him about entrepreneurship and about owning his life and about living versus surviving. If you know a young child, if you have a young child, guys, we got to teach them. Because this system of slavery is not the way.
Yeah, that was a very interesting video. And, it was the thing that really stuck out to me with her video is that, she understood. She explained what happened, in her life, and we'll get into that in just a moment here. But it wrapped up with, okay, this is what I'm going to do. It was very general, but I am definitely going to change I'm making some changes here, and I thought that was good, because think about, I just want to take the time to kind of acknowledge that part, because there's so many videos out here of people doing car videos and they're just exhaling, just venting, and then that's it. You just left with that, right? And so I do applaud her for that, leaving the viewer off with that. You know what I'm saying? So now let's rewind a little bit at the beginning of what she was saying, as far as like her parents are concerned. And, and I could so relate to that. It wasn't a bad thing, that our parents, if you're of a certain age, they really drilled down in you that, son, daughter, listen, you are going to go to college, because in order for you to make it in this world, you're going to have to get a degree. You're going to have to, you got to do it. You just got to do it. You got to go into college, get that degree, and just follow along the line, and then get hired by a very good company. And then, yeah, you should live happily ever after. Again, I'm not at all condemning our parents or parents before them, and giving that kind of advice, because that advice was given based off of where they were, right? But now we played that experiment out. We played out that mandate. We're the people on the other side of that mandate. And when we look back at that, even though we do have some successes with that, there are a bunch of people right now that are finding out the hard way that, unfortunately, no, that wasn't the best advice, because what has happened is we embraced it thinking that somehow that was going to be the key that's going to give us identity. It was going to give us peace. It was going to give us freedom. It was going to give us security. It's going to give us all of that, right? Well, we're in 2025 right now, and we are seeing firsthand, the amount of people who are losing jobs left and right, thanks in large part now to AI, or just technology in general. Or you got companies that just are running out of money, and they're just saying, hey, I can't carry you anymore. Goodbye, And so, you got plenty of people out here that are even homeless that have degrees. I saw this, I wonder, should I show that to y'all? This is, man, I hope it's not licensed. Let me see if I can find this for you. But I was on TikTok, yes. And let me see if I can, hold on, let me show y'all this video if I did bookmark it. Because I know I sent it to my daughter. Let me see if I can find it. This was a guy. Okay, I think this is it. Hold on. Let me just listen to it for a moment. I'm going to have to hold it up because if I play it on the big screen here, they're probably going to ding me. It might be licensed or something, but this, you could barely see. The heck is going on? Okay. Okay, you see this right here? That's a homeless, it's a black guy that he's homeless and he's sounding just like that. That's him singing. His name is Timothy Blivens. Timothy Blivens. That's his name. I wanted to make sure I'm saying that right. And that's him in not Times Square. He's in Union Square in San Francisco. I know you can't really see it, but that's him. He's actually in a wheelchair. And I mean, he's an opera singer. And I looked it up and he was an opera singer. And he, from what I understand, I think he had some kind of bodily injury or something that took place, an illness or something to that effect. And it, so he was taking medications, and unfortunately, I think he was taking pain medications. And as you know, with pain medications, a lot of times it's very easy to get addicted to that. And so I think it was pain medications, got addicted to that, and he just ran out of money. And now he's out on the street in a wheelchair singing this beautiful opera music, something that he was doing for years until, this unfortunate thing happened. And so I'm bringing that up because, this man, I'm sure, did all the things he was supposed to do, going to practices, going to this, that, or whatever. But then this happens, right? Life does happen. You know what I mean? Things do happen. But what I am discovering, on this YouTube channel that you're watching right now, we call it Saba Journeys because we are definitely on a journey. I mean, there are a few of you guys who've been with us from the very, very beginning when we were in Christianity, and then we, got out of that, and next thing you know, we were in the Hebrew world for a long time. Now we're out of that, and we're just learning about things right now. We're not pushing any kind of belief system or religion or God for that matter. If you're someone that still holds on to those things, I mean, you're definitely more than welcome here, but it's not, and nor do we clown you or anything like that. It's just, we're on our journey, and we just love to share the little lessons that we're learning. And so anyway, so what I began to learn is one of the things I've been really looking into. You guys have been hearing me talk about breathing exercises and all of that. And we're going to I'm going to walk you through it. I'm not going to demonstrate it because that would probably look kind of funny. I'll do that on a separate video, maybe on our Saba Journeys page. But I want to first talk about, and I think I've showed this on this platform maybe before. I mentioned quantum physics, right? But I'm going to show you, okay, but what we're going to be leading to is something called quantum thinking, okay? But first, what I want to do is show you another video, okay? And this is a cartoon. Don't mind the cheese, y'all. Just focus on what the cartoon is saying, okay? And then we're going to take that information. It's only like 5-7 minutes. It's a very short cartoon. And he's explaining a concept within quantum physics. And then we're going to take that and we're going to bridge it into our main part of as we're getting into the main part of our discussion. Okay. So let me bring this up here. And I want you, like I said, just make sure you pay very close attention to what this cartoon is saying here. And then we'll just, it's 5 minutes long. And then we'll get right into our, the quantum thinking piece of it. Okay. All right. Let's see. I got it up here. And let's take a listen. Here we go. Turn the volume up and let's listen.
And here we are, the granddaddy of all quantum weirdness, the infamous double slit experiment. To understand this experiment, we first need to see how particles, or little balls of matter, act. If we randomly shoot a small object, say a marble, at the screen, we see a pattern on the back wall where they went through the slit and hit. Now, if we add a second slit, we would expect to see a second band duplicated to the right. Now, let's look at waves. The waves hit the slit and radiate out, striking the back wall with the most intensity directly in line with the slit. The line of brightness on the back screen shows that intensity. This is similar to the line the marbles make. But when we add the second slit, something different happens. If the top of one wave meets the bottom of another wave, they cancel each other out. So now there is an interference pattern on the back wall. Places where the two tops meet are the highest intensity, the bright lines, and where they cancel, there is nothing. So, when we throw things, that is, matter, through two slits, we get this, two bands of hits. And with waves, we get an interference pattern of many bands. Good so far. Now, let's go quantum. An electron is a tiny, tiny bit of matter, like a tiny marble. Let's fire a stream through one slit. It behaves just like the marble, a single band. So, if we shoot these tiny bits through two slits, we should get, like the marbles, two bands. What? An interference pattern. We fired electrons, tiny bits of matter through. But we get a pattern like waves, not like little marbles. How? How could pieces of matter create an interference pattern like a wave? It doesn't make sense. But physicists are clever. They thought, maybe those little balls are bouncing off each other and creating that pattern. So, they decide to shoot electrons through one at a time. There is no way they could interfere with each other. But after an hour of this, the same interference pattern is seen to emerge. The conclusion is inescapable. The single electron leaves as a particle, becomes a wave of potentials, goes through both slits, and interferes with itself to hit the wall like a particle. But mathematically, it's even stranger. It goes through both slits, and it goes through neither. And it goes through just one, and it goes through just the other. All of these possibilities are in superposition with each other. But physicists were completely baffled by this. So they decided to peek and see which slit it actually goes through. They put a measuring device by one slit to see which one it went through and let it fly. But the quantum world is far more mysterious than they could have imagined. When they observed, the electron went back to behaving like a little marble. It produced a pattern of two bands, not an interference pattern of many. The very act of measuring or observing which slit it went through meant it only went through one, not both. The electron decided to act differently, as though it was aware it was being watched. And it was here that physicists stepped forever into the strange, never world of quantum events. What is matter? Marbles or waves? And waves of what? And what does an observer have to do with any of this? The observer collapsed the wave function simply by observing.
Very fascinating stuff there, and we're gonna kind of bridge it over here in just a moment. Make sure nothing starts playing here Let's give it a moment. So yeah, so you got your part one of your science experiment, your science lesson for the night. But this is really fascinating stuff. And so let's kind of break it down a little bit. So basically what he was saying in this experiment is that you have these electrons that are just that was shooting through the one slit, and you see that it just did a straight line. But when it did it through two slits, it didn't do, you was expecting it just to produce the two slits of, the electrons on the back panel, if you will. But instead what it did, it actually created a whole array. And so what they're saying is basically that, how everything's made, photons, electrons, and all of that. This is what we're really made of. I mean, if you break down us, you remember a while back we did a long time ago, we did a video. We talked about how we are basically light. Our bodies, you can measure every organ in your body has its own set resonance. It has its own set frequency. You have a set frequency, and everything about us is light. When you look at different plants and animals and whatever, you're just seeing reflections of light, and the matter that we're made of. It's just, it's just all of this ties in together. It's just quite fascinating stuff. And so, so I want you to keep in mind, there's two things he mentioned: the observer, and he also mentioned you have all these different possibilities. You see all that, all those different sheaves of light, if you will, that was on that back panel there. Okay. All right, so let me take out my notes here because I wanted to be able to explain this, go even further into this a little bit more here. And so let's go here. So anyway, let me just read this to you, and then I'm going to go off a little bit and then come back in. This is not going to be a long broadcast. I promise you. I promise. Okay. All right. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to experience major shifts in their lives almost overnight? While others stay stuck even when they work hard, like the young lady that we played earlier. They said this is what quantum thinking is about. In quantum physics, scientists discovered something incredible. When a particle is observed, it actually changes how it behaves. That means the act of observation itself affects reality. Okay. And this is based on science, whatever. You're going to have people who are going to say, no, you're taking this too far or whatever. Again, I'm just simply laying this out. What you choose to do with it is up to you. Okay. This is not, this ain't like a religion or anything like that. This is just something we're laying out, and you do with it what you want. Okay. Now let's bring it down to real life. Every time you focus on a thought, a feeling, or a possibility, you're observing a version of reality. And the one you focus on the most, it becomes the one you experience. Let me give you an example of that. For example, if you are someone that so what happens is your brain, the way the brain operates, it generally, and I'm gonna get into that in a moment here. The way, I'll just jump into that now. The way your brain operates, because I got notes all over the place here. Let's see. This goes into you are not your thoughts. All right, you are not your thoughts. Let me jump to that, and then I'll jump back to what I was saying earlier. Have you ever noticed how your mind just keeps talking, like a TV that's always on, or even when you're not watching? That's because your brain's main job is to keep you safe, not to keep you peaceful. That's a long pause there. That's a long pause. I want you to think on that for a second. Your brain's job, your main job of your brain is to keep you safe. It is not to keep you peaceful. Think on that. It's constantly collecting information, comparing, predicting, and remembering. All right, so let's break that down. Your brain is a script machine. All right. Your brain is like a movie editor. It takes scenes from your past everything that you've seen, heard, and felt, and uses those memories to guess what's going to happen next. So we don't know what's going to happen in the next minute. We don't know what's going to happen in the next day, 2 days, week, month. We think we know, right? Based on what? Based on what? You think you know what's going to happen based on what? What happened in the past, right? See, we do things so automatically. We don't take the time to think this through, all right? So anyway, let's see. So, okay. So when something happens, your brain quickly flips through its old files. It's going like this. Okay. I've seen this before. What did we do the last time? Okay, we did this. Yep, that's it, right? Now, was that safe or was it dangerous? Okay, yeah, it was kind of dangerous. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna send a signal to Dwayne and let him know, hey, listen, we've seen this before, and I know this is what they said, and yup, this is what's going to happen because back 20 years ago, you experienced this before, and guess what's going to happen? The same thing's going to happen. So you might as well go ahead and brace yourself. Okay, let's go ahead and pump up his, get him all agitated right now. Let's get his fear up and all this kind of stuff. Let's go ahead and get him all pumped up and primed up, to get his heart rate going again and all of that, so that when he does land in the future that we're predicting, he will already, his body, his nervous system will already be prepared because he's already been prepared for the fear that we predicted that was going to happen. You understand what I'm saying? It's amazing how the body acts. Now, the whole time I'm gonna tell you this, the body is not your enemy. It is not your enemy, okay? Your body is not your enemy. But it does do certain things that we have to begin to recognize and say, back up. That's not me. That's not my thoughts here. My brain, the way it's worked, it's just simply gathering stuff from the past to predict my future. Okay. All right. So anyway, so that's why sometimes before anything bad even happens, your body already feels anxious. The brain is predicting danger based on what? Old memories. It's like watching a rerun and assuming it's happening again. So when we're listening to doctors, I keep sharing this story over and over again. What doctors like to do, they will tell you, okay, I had a doctor tell me this. Well, if your parents had this, so you're going to have it as well. You may not have it now, but you are going to have it. Trust me, you're going to have it. I had a doctor tell me that. I walked out there. I said, the devil is a lie. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. No, most certainly I'm not. And to this day, I don't. I'm good. My health is good. And so again, that's just an example. But what is that doctor? What is he? When the doctor is giving you a diagnosis, it is based off of what? It's usually based off of your family history. That's why you got to fill out all that freaking paperwork. Tell me about your family history, and then they go in the back or whatever, and they come back like they're the grand wizard and like, I figured it out. Your great grandmother had it, and your grandmother had it, and now you got it. And you, how did you know that? How did you know that? Well, dummy, you gave him the whole script, and so he's telling you the script that you provided to him, right? You gave him the script. And so based off of that, he went in the back and, I got my PhDs and all that. And so he is predicting what your future is going to be. Well, your great grandmother was obese and she had high blood pressure and she died when she turned 70. You're going to do the same thing. Your grandmother, the same thing. Your grandfather, his vision start going out at a certain time. Therefore, it's going to happen to you. You understand what I'm saying? Again, what's the overall theme of this video, this broadcast? The change needs to start with you. It needs to start with you. All right. Because there's a lot of words that have been thrown out here. Anyway, let's move on here. That is why sometimes before I already read that. The brain is predicting danger based on old memories. It's like watching a rerun and assuming it's happening again. I've already read that part. How thoughts are generated. Every thought you have is really an electric signal firing through your brain circuits. These signals are shaped by past experiences and emotional memories. So the more emotional that memory is, if it was something very tragic, there's some people I know right now that have they're older, but they can't even imagine themselves even getting married because they're like, something maybe had happened in the past, and they're like, oh no, I just cannot see myself doing that. Nope, not at all. I had those bad experiences. It ain't happening again. No, sir. I just, experience taught me something, never to do this again. So I'm not going to trust that again. When you have bad experiences, your brain says, yep. Your brain is up. Yep, you right. You went through that before. Now you can't. And so you better not trust any other man, or you better not trust a woman again. You better not trust them because this is how they are. And so you end up making a judgment on a whole demographic of people based on two people or maybe one person. So your brain, that's what your brain does. This is why when I'm doing videos a lot of times and I'm talking about, like, when I say, let's say if the topic is dealing with, if I'm talking about black women, for example, what do I always have to say? I'm always saying, does this represent all black women? No, it does not. I got to say that over and over again. Or if I'm talking about black men, the same thing. Do these people represent all black men? No, they do not. Why do I got to keep saying that? Because I know that a lot of people, unfortunately, will pivot back to the bad experiences that they had in their own lives. So when they hear someone like me talking and saying, okay, black women, or I'm talking about black men, they automatically, their brain will say, yep, let me pull out that book. I know this chapter very well. Yep, these black women are something else. That's what your brain is doing. So I got to fight through that and say, hey, don't listen to that yet. Don't listen to that. That's not all black men. It's not all black women, right? You got to fight through that. So it's a challenge. It's a challenge. So anyway, when something reminds you of a past event, your brain reactivates the same network of neurons. Remember we talk about those branches, right? Just see all those branches that just light up, right? It activates the same network of neurons that fired back then. That's why it feels so real, because your brain is literally replaying it. Okay. From there, it projects forward. If this happened before, it might happen again. So your thoughts are often predictions built from yesterday's data. So anyway, so your thoughts are not you. They're not your thoughts. Your brain on any given day is always generating ideas and thoughts. The other day, I'm gonna tell you just how fascinating the brain is. The other day, I'm driving. I was on any random road out here, right around the corner from the house. And I'm just driving, and the word Okeechobee came in my mind. And I was like, Okeechobee? It just literally just popped in my mind. And then that caused me to think. I was like, Okeechobee. I said, I've heard of that before. I said, where was that? And I was trying to remember. I said, was that in Georgia? Was that in Florida? I was like, yes, that was in Florida. The Okeechobee River, I think it is, down in Florida. I'm not sure. It's a lake. I think it's the river or something like that. I know it's a street. Okeechobee. Anyway, it came to my mind. I ain't thinking about no Okeechobee. Where the heck was I thinking about Okeechobee? It literally just popped in my mind. And so I'm sitting there scratching my head like, how did this, what triggered it? Well, let me tell you how fascinating the brain is. Your brain, what it does is that it's always collecting data. Remember, your brain does not see. Your eyes see, your brain does not. Your brain, because this is something I want you to get in mind. A lot of times we think our brain sees things. No, your brain does not see anything. Your brain is locked up, stowed away in a skull that's dark and wet and warm. Your brain doesn't see anything. What your brain is doing, like right now, your brain is taking in the information that's coming out of my mouth, going through this electrical device, traveling through the internet, going through your electrical device, coming to your ears, right? Which are translating what I am saying to you into electrical pulses that's going into your brain. And so your brain is taking those electrical pulses and is putting together, okay, this is what he's saying, whatever. That's basically why your brain operates, right? So that's just hearing. Same thing with smell, same thing with touch, same thing with your seeing as well, right? And so when you are looking at stuff, that's what you're seeing with your eyes. It gets translated into electrical pulses. And your brain takes that information and says, okay, all right, well, based on these electrical pulses, this is what he's saying. You know what I mean? So anyway, move on. So anyway, so my brain, back to the Okeechobee thing that I was talking about, which was super weird. So what basically is happening is this, because I had the windows down, all of that. Your brain is always scanning those five senses, the data that's coming from those five senses. It's always scanning, always, always, always scanning. The moment you open your eyes to you close, it's always scanning. And what it's doing is taking that data and it's saying, wait, whoa, hold on for a second. Hold on. I've seen this pattern before. Let's go back. And so your brain just, I knew it. Yes, I knew it. Yes. What we just smelled at that moment and what we just heard at that moment. And he was he was near the Okeechobee River the last time that he heard that. And so when you get those thoughts that come to your mind, so a lot of times you may be driving or walking and someone's name just pops in your mind, or, you know, or maybe a feeling or a memory or something like that. And you ever wondered what triggers that? Now, in the church world, what we tell ourselves? Well, it's the Spirit of God that's putting it in my spirit, you know, and that's what's causing me to think about this stuff. Well, I'm going a little bit deeper. Your brain is the one that is collecting this data, and is something at that moment that put this together and said, yeah, that's what happened. And so, and what you're getting is the shuffling of that data, if you will. And then when you hear that name, or if it's a feeling or whatever, I mean, I'll give you a practical example. I mean, old school music. I mean, that's a whole genre right there. Anytime you playing Kool and the Gang or something like that, you may be tapping your feet and swaying and all of that. But also there's memories that's attached to that as well, don't you? Depending on how old you are, you remember your high school, you know, being in high school, or, you know, or maybe driving in your dad's car for the first time, or whatever it may be. There are memories that are attached to that. So when you hear that, your brain is like, yeah, this song reminds me of that time. And then some of y'all, it reminds you of some times that we shouldn't be talking about. But anyway, okay. But that's, in a nutshell, that's how your brain operates. It brings stuff like that, right, into your mind. And someone mentioned here, they said, what about dreams? Would that be the same thing when you're what you're talking about? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Even when we're sleeping, our brain may not be as active as when we're not sleeping, but it's still moving and shuffling things, you know, while we're sleeping. It's repairing itself. And then what your brain is doing is actually processing things that it was not able to process in your waking hours. That's basically what dreams are. Okay. And so brain is very fascinating, very, very fascinating. Okay, let's move on here. All right. I told you, I'm really trying to pack it in here. Okay. The constant loop. Because the brain is wired for survival, it keeps looping the process. Past, prediction, reaction, repeat. Past, prediction, reaction, complete. No, I'm just playing. It's not trying to hurt you. It's just trying to protect you. But this loop can also trap you. All right. If you've ever caught yourself worrying about something that hasn't even happened yet, that's your brain using an old file to write a new script. Boy, I could definitely talk about that. There's a ton of things I can be worrying about right now. But I've had to stop myself, and I said, wait a minute, we ain't there yet. I'm not there yet. Now, this is what is being said, but I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. I am not there yet. Okay. So why am I worrying about it today? If the future hasn't happened yet, why am I worrying about it now? So the brain, what it does is it takes the past and it says, okay, based on the past, yep, it's confirmation. What they're telling you now, this is confirmation of what's going to happen in the future. But what if I was to tell you that, no, you don't have to accept that. You don't. You literally do not have to accept that. So anyway, and that, yes, you can change things. And so going back to that example that we were talking about earlier, that whole thing with the different possibilities, you know, the slit project that they were experiment that they did. And they said once an observer, an observing device, it observed one of those things, all the other ones collapsed. All the other possibilities collapsed. What does that translate to? Let me just kind of make it smoother for y'all. What you put your energy to, that is what you are empowering. So if you want to put your energy into something that you are worrying about, more than likely it's going to happen. But instead, teaching yourself how to shift that energy from worrying about this, that, or whatever to focusing on things such as things that you're thankful for, things that you're grateful for, making a list of different things that, you know, hey, you know, here's a list of things that I'm very grateful for and I'm thankful for, and I'm going to stand on that. I can't think about what's going to happen in a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or whatever. I'm not thinking about that right now. Right now, I'm going to focus on this because I want that to continue to be my reality of things that I can look back and say I'm thankful for, right? And when you do that, what begins to happen? Remember, I told you we are frequency, we're light, right? You know how you attract, you know how they say misery loves company? Yeah, very good. They say it's called the Hawthorne effect. Yep. You know how they say a misery loves company? Well, you attract if you're a miserable person, you're going to attract miserable people, right? But if you're someone that's great, if you're someone that's in fear all the time about something, well, guess what? You're going to be experiencing those same things over and over again. Well, likewise, if you're someone that is not being phony, not being fake, you up there like, yeah, I'm having a great day. Meanwhile, a little tear coming down your eye. No, you're being honest. You understand what I'm saying? You're being honest. But at the same time, I'm not going to dedicate my whole day focusing on those negatives. I'm going to focus on the things that are going right. I'm going to focus on those things that are positive in my life. And then, and as I've been putting this in practice, I'm going to tell you what has been coming out from me, you know, just in my own personal life. There are a lot of things I just can't even, where last week or maybe a week before I could tolerate. There's certain things I can't even tolerate anymore. Like I could only do but so much social media. I mean, I'm talking about just even a few weeks ago. There's certain things I can't, I'm like, no, I can't. No, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear, I don't want to hear any negative right now. I cannot put that in my ear space. That has nothing to do with me, but I just can't hear that right now. I just can't. I don't want to hear it. It's like I become more sensitive to those things. You know what I'm saying? It's really something. And so anyway, so let me go back to, what was I talking about here? Let me go back to my notes here. And then we're going to talk very briefly about how breathing exercises, how they all tie into this and how it's a very good thing here. Something that you should be practicing. And as I'm talking, I'm sure that many of you can see how, especially when we're dealing with the what we call the black community, how we have been pushed into this, in that matrix thinking. You know, they have put us in a construct where you have to work twice as hard. You got to work 3 times as hard and all of this stuff for everything in your life. I'm going up on the rough side of the mountain. I'm tired of going up the rough side of the mountain. I'm tired of that. How many of you know of people that have been going up the rough side of the mountain for years and years and years, and they still ain't got nothing to show for it? Aren't you tired of that? Well, we can change that. And that's what we're trying to do here. And so other thing I want to mention too, you remember they mentioned the observer, right? Here's something I want you to keep in mind too. Remember, I just said earlier, I said, you are not your thoughts. You are just simply these are just electric pulses that are going through your brain. They're doing their thing and collecting data, all that stuff, right? But the real you, and again, this is something I am learning, okay? I'm not some professional here, okay? But this is, when I heard this, it was like, wow, this is really fascinating. The real you is not those thoughts that you're hearing. Like when you get those thoughts, those bad thoughts or crazy thoughts that go through your mind, your posture should be, you know what? That's not me. Because the real you, let me put it this way. Many of you, as far back as you could think, you had a voice in your head. No, you weren't crazy, but there was like a calm voice that you heard that was in, it was maybe giving you advice, telling you this, that, or whatever, but nonetheless is a voice. And you know how they say, I have a best friend in my head? It's like that. Now, let me challenge some of y'all. Let me challenge you a little bit on this, okay? There's going to be a challenge now. I'm going to see how y'all handle this. That voice in your head, I want you to be honest. Was that voice talking in Hebrew? Let me give you a moment to think about that. Was that voice talking to you in Arabic? Did it have a funny accent? Did it sound like somebody else in your life? Or did it sound like you? And let me take it even further than that. From the time that you were younger to the time that you're the age that you are right now, do you ever recall that inner voice ever changing? Meaning when you were a child, did it sound like a child? And then when you became older, did it sound like an older person? Or did it always kind of sound like you? I just want you to think on that for a second. Just process that for a second. Now, what I'm going to put out here, and you look into this for yourself. I explained the science part of it as far as how your brain operates and all of that. But I want to make the argument that the real you is that space behind those thoughts. The real you is sitting back and just listening and watching. So when those thoughts come through, it's just sitting there and watching. Just sitting and watching. That's all it's doing. That's the real you. And then when something happens, you may hear an interjection here and there or whatever. That's it. It's always just still, ain't it? Now, if you got voices in your head, number one, that's scary. Okay, that's something else. Or if the voice in your head is like, don't, all of that, that's also scary too. But typically, most people I talk to, that inner voice that you hear, in most cases, it just sounds like you. Now, let's stop for a second. Oh, Dwayne, we're getting some scary waters here now. You're talking about worshiping yourself. We can't nobody ain't saying anything about. Did I say anything about worshiping anybody? No, I did not. Did I say anything about because you gotta let the spirit in? Nope. Talking about no spirits. The real you is that. This week it was funny. I was looking at, again, some of these near-death experience videos, and the people that I was listening to, they were talking about how the moment that they died, it's according to them, the first thing that they experienced was peace. It was peaceful. They said it just went from chaos to peace. And they said they were just sitting there and they just looking around and just everything was peace. And so now this brings us into the this, and then there was other things depending on who you talk to or listen to or whatever. But now this brings us into breathing exercises. Your body naturally always bends to that, to peace. You want to know how? Let me give you a couple examples. Let me give you one example. Number one, your body is designed to heal itself. We've talked about this before, right? Your body, if I was to scratch myself right now, my body, everything's in my body will come into teamwork and it would heal itself, right? If I was to catch a cold or something like that, my body is automatically doing things to flush out the bad stuff so that I can breathe freely and be fine again, right? Get rid of all the viral materials and everything so that I can be well again. If I got a broken bone, your body, as long as you reposition that bone correctly, it is doing everything it needs to do to bring that bone together and to heal it. That's your body. It's just designed to do that. When you go to sleep, what happens? What happens? Your breathing slows down, right? Your breathing slows down. And as you're sleeping, you're at a state where you're just at a restful state. You ain't worrying. You're not in fear. You're not in anything like that. You're in a restful state. Kind of like that voice that you hear in your head. That is where we get into breathing exercises, because the goal of breathing exercises is to get you to that place where just for a few moments, you can synchronize your entire body so that it is in alignment with the real you, which is beyond those fears and all those concerns and things and stuff that you have. That's where the breathing exercises come in. That's what it does. It basically tells your amygdala and all that. It says, okay, let's chill for a second and let's focus. And it literally brings everything in alignment. It's really something. So anyway, let's just go through it real quick. All right. So let's see what the best thing I can do here. So give me just a moment here. All right. So when you're doing your breathing exercises, what I typically do is, there's plenty of videos out here on YouTube, first of all. So you just take your pick. There's plenty of them out here. And they range. You got box breathing. That's number one. Box breathing is like you take a deep breath, hold it for 4 seconds, and then you exhale. And then when you get to the bottom of the exhale, you hold it for 4 seconds, and then you just repeat it over and over again, right? Some people can do it. I do it with wearing headphones because I'm trying to block out any external noise. I'll just have some soft music playing or whatever. And usually a lot of these breathing exercise videos, they'll have that. And so that's what I do. Some people, they can just tune everything out. Depends if you're in a noisy environment, whatever. Just do what you got to do, and eyes closed the whole time. You're just blocking everything out and you're just doing this. And then what's happening is you're slowing things down. You're putting your body in alignment, in a position, your nervous system and everything in a position where it's aligned with the real you that's behind those thoughts. And as you're doing these breathing exercises, what you're going to begin to notice is going to be this overwhelming sense of calm that's going to come over you. You're not going to be thinking about anything else. You're just going to focus on your breathing. That's it. You're not focusing on deities. You're not focusing on demons. You're not focusing on whatever, but you just focus on your breathing. For me, sometimes I just imagine myself just going down a river. And one of the things, if you're going down a river, what you got in your hand, an oar, right? You want to be in control. But what I've been changing it up and saying, no, I don't want to be in control anymore. I want to completely give up for this moment and just let my body do what it needs to do on its own. And let my mind, and just kind of go with it and get in alignment with that. And so that's something I have been putting in practice, doing stuff like that. And let's see. So let's see. All right. So I'm just going to talk through some of this stuff here. They said the first inhale, switching on the calm circuit. Take a slow breath in through your nose. Let your belly expand. They said in your body, in your brain, this is what's happening. Your diaphragm drops, lungs fill, stretch sensors in your lungs and chest send signals up the vagus nerve to your brain stem. Those signals reach a relay center called the nucleus tragus solitarius. Think of it as a mission control for breath and heart rhythms. Mission control updates your heart and blood pressure settings in real time, preventing over arousal. Fresh oxygen rises while carbon dioxide starts its gentle fall. Chemistry that your brain notes through chemoreceptors in the brainstem and in the neck arteries. And then the next step is your slow exhale. What's happening? You're applying the brakes. And then when you're exhaling slowly, this is what's happening inside your body and your brain. A longer exhale boosts the parasympathetic rest and digest signal along the vagus nerve. Your heart rate naturally slows on the exhale, a normal rhythm called respiratory sinus arrhythmia. In the brain, the locus coeruleus, a tiny area that sprays the brain with alertness chemicals, dials down its it's norepinephrine output. With that arousal turned down, the amygdala, your threat detector, quiets, and the prefrontal cortex, the focus, judgment, self-control, comes back online. And then they said after 3 to 5 breaths, this is what's happening. Your CO2 level stabilizes, which eases that air hunger feeling and stops the nervous system from overreacting. Heart rate variability, that's a HRV. The healthy, flexible beat-to-beat change in your pulse begins to rise. Higher HRV is your body's way of saying, I can flex between stress and calm easily. The insula, this is inside your body, gets clearer input. You feel more grounded. Background mental noise from the default mode network, the wandering self-talk channel, starts to turn down so attention feels steadier. And then anyway, it goes on. I can go on and talk about that. I just wanted to touch on just some of the things that's going on in your body. And so you're going to notice that, and even doctors talk about this, like doing breathing exercises to stabilize your high blood pressure, and it also solves it helps with a lot of other things as well. So I would really encourage you to begin to start incorporating these breathing exercises in your life. I do it once in the morning and then once before I go to bed. And I'm telling you, I have some of the most deepest sleep, just by doing this. And you're just playing some very soft music. I would play some of it right now, but it will probably put me to sleep. And I don't think y'all want to see that. Okay. But this is something that what it does, it realigns you with that real you that's behind those thoughts. And that's what I want to leave you with. You have a whole system that the whole purpose of this system is to flood you with all kind of thoughts. So when you're on social media, you are being flooded with thoughts, other people's thoughts, other people's fears and all of that. And you're constantly processing that. And then what happens is you get lost in that and you begin to start identifying with those other people's thoughts. And then a lot of times their fears and their stuff becomes your stuff on top of the stuff that you've been dealing with, or it becomes confirmation bias for your stuff. What we're trying to do here is saying, no, you need to learn to step back, begin to say, hey, number one, these aren't my thoughts. So when you get these thoughts that come through your mind, particularly we're talking like bad thoughts, right? Today, just now I had a thought about a certain fear that I have. I'm just going to sit that over there. that literally say that out loud. You know, just now I had a thought about this. No, I'm not taking ownership of that. I'm going to sit that over there. And depending on what it is, you may say, you know what, this will be a good time for me to sit back and let me do a quick breathing exercise. And you're going to find that once you do that, once you're finished, you're going to find yourself in a much different place. And like I said, again, what you're doing is you're resetting your frequency. That is what you're doing. Remember, you are a frequency. Each part of your body, all these different organs in your body, they have their own resonant frequency. This is proven. This ain't some woo-woo stuff. This is real. You yourself, you have a unique frequency. How about your voice? You take the woo-woo out of it. Your voice, I sound like me. You're going to find very few people that sound like me. The way my vocal cords are designed, they're designed in such a way where it makes me unique. I am putting out a unique vocal pattern that you're not going to really find. Same thing with y'all. This is why when you're walking around, you can be in a whole crowded situation, right? And out of that, the mama, she'll hear her child. She calling out, so, you know, Dwayne calling me out, right? And then I'll be like, Mom. And then she like, there you are right there. You see how interesting that is? We're frequency. Because that child was in the mother and she had that connection with that child, even when they're apart physically, if she hears the child from a distance, she's like, that's my baby right there. Or it could be something where the mom is on one coast, the child is on another coast, and you guys are talking on the phone, and it'd be like, how you doing? I noticed something about your voice. Are you sure? Because there's something about your voice that's kind of off here. You know, are you hiding something from me? You know how parents can be. We just detect that stuff. How is that possible? Because we are frequencies. That's what we are. And you want to get in line with that, and you want to stand on that, right? And you want to lean in on that. And you're going to find that by doing that, you really are going, that's where the real change begins. But it starts with you discovering yourself. And that's why on this platform, this is what we've been doing on this journey. We said, hey, we got to start shedding all this other stuff right now. We've been looking at religion and all of that. We got to start taking all this stuff and let's get to who we really are as an individual. And of course, that opens up much deeper conversations. Okay, why was I born, where I was born? Why was I born like this and all of this stuff? That gets into much deeper conversations that we're not going to get in on this. But I will tell you this, you are not an accident. You are not an accident, number one. And there is no Mesopotamian deity that had anything with you being here. Do you understand what I'm saying? No, not at all. I will tell you that much. But these are things, like I said, again, we're on a journey. These are things that we are processing, we're thinking about, and so you take the information, do with it as you will, investigate on your own, add to the comment section, on your observations on things and what you've been experiencing. I would very much love to hear it. But I think that's it. Yeah, like Peace of Mind Counseling, she just said, have an attitude of gratitude. That is exactly so true. Focus on those positive things that are going right. And as you do that, you're going to begin to see that there's going to be some people that's going to fall off, but you're also going to start attracting people that are of the same frequency. That's the people that you want around you. And I'm seeing, and I will just say this, you're seeing this play out in real time right here on this channel. I've seen numbers of people fall off with every video I do. It's just a bunch of people just fall off. I can get mad and be like, oh no, they're taking away my. No, not at all. I said, I'm going through a change right now. I am changing, right? I'm changing for the better. And as I'm changing, what's happening is I'm fine tuning my signal, my frequency. And as I'm doing that, guess what's happening? It's bringing some people, other people is falling off. Okay, that's fine. You got to be okay with that. You understand? But I'm not going to prolong you. I actually went a little bit longer than I wanted to, but I hope you did get something out of this. A lot of fascinating stuff. And we're going to try to hit this every Sunday. This is our health thing that we do, because we're interested in health and wellness. We could talk about herbs and all that stuff. All that stuff is great. That all has its own place, but it really starts with you in the beginning. All right. But at the end, I will tell you this as well. Make sure you check out, I'll close out with this. If you haven't done so already, make sure you swing by sambatree.com. We got that 30% off promo going on right now. Biggest sale of the year. Make sure you check it out. Okay. Pick up something. Thanks again for tuning in. You guys take care, and we will be talking again soon. Have a wonderful rest of your day, evening, and the rest of your week. Take care. We'll be talking again soon.